Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome councillors and staff to the February meeting of Murrumbidgee Council. I'll remind you all, please to turn your mobile phones off or everybody away. Would be a good idea. In the spirit of open, accessible and transparent government, and to ensure this meeting is open to the public, this council meeting is being recorded and live streamed to the Murrumbidgee Council Facebook page. A recording will also be placed on council's website following the meeting. I'll ask for any apologies. No, everybody's here. We'll move to the confirmation of the minutes of the ordinary council meeting 23rd of November and 23rd of December 2021 and the extraordinary meeting of council the 13th of January 2022. Somebody would like to move, please. Move Councillor Kirby, second Councillor Major. Those in favour, please say aye. Those against, carried. Thank you. I'll remind all councillors of their pecuniary interest declarations. Are there any that have to be forwarded before we start?
Yes, forwarded.
Be forwarded to us, Councillor Kirby. Thank you. No notices of rescission, no notices of motion. I'll move to the mayoral report. As you can see, it's a while since we met, and plans that we had to meet for an induction workshop in January were allayed due to the COVID issue. Also, a proposed strategic planning workshop at the beginning of February was also allayed. So it is nice to finally be meeting, and we have got a lot of work to do. So I did say that we had absolutely no influence or say really in how things transpired. The local government election was held on the 4th of December, which was hardly an ideal time to hold an election, but nonetheless it was carried out. We had 3 new councillors at the table, and we warmly welcome them to the team and congratulate them on their success and encourage them to come to the table with a passion and commitment that will service their communities well into the future. I'm sure that you will by now have received mid-monthly workshop notifications and council meeting and workshop notifications for 2022, and I encourage you all to place them in your diaries with big red flags that come up that gives you plenty of notice, because it is vitally important that you can get to as many of these meetings as possible. It's the best method of communication to be in the room with each other, and everybody gets the same information at the same time rather than just relying on remote paper. COVID-19, the current Omicron variant, continues to dictate how we go about our daily business. Per head of population, our 3 communities have not escaped unscathed. And the data suggests, and we are told by wiser heads than ours, that the numbers that are actually presented to the community are far less than the actuals. So it behoves us all to remain vigilant, look after ourselves, be mindful of everybody else in our community, and do the best we can to keep us as safe as we can. The kids have returned to school, which is really good news. It's where kids should be. And while there are cases that are emerging in our schools of both students and staff, life as normal as possible is being undertaken. Following the Christmas New Year break, most trades and services are back at the coalface, and many of our major projects are reaching end stage / completion. Fingers crossed. The skate park and pump track in Murrumbidgee, hopefully by the end of February. The Murrumbidgee Early Learning Centre by early April. The Sweatbox Gym and Colliamby Sports Precinct development as a whole will hopefully be completed by the end of February, with council then completing some soft landscaping as a starter to enable functional use to occur as soon as possible. The Coven Avenue redevelopment, about 75% of the curve and guttering is complete. And at Channel 9 Road, the upgrade has 2 kilometres of shoulder rehab work completed by now. Our Australia Day events were again derailed by COVID. Colliamby held an online event which was hugely successful. Drilled in Darwin pointing out there are more benefits presentations to be organised. Our award winners make a significant and valuable contribution to our communities, and we thank them for their generosity. Thanks also to our Australian Day Ambassador, who delivered her address via Zoom. She couldn't attend in person, but provided a video which can be viewed on Council's Facebook page still. The Norwich Marina Fishing Classic is successfully held. Our congratulations to the Apex Club of Darlington Point and the many volunteers required to ensure the success of this annual event. The Collie Emily Active Farmers Group will be hosting the 2022 Active Farmers Games on the 12th of March in Collie Emily. Let's all get behind to ensure it can be the best it can be. The feasibility study required to drive the Darlington Point daycare/preschool development has commenced. An online survey has been created and a much broader scope of catchment has been rolled out that includes schools, preschools, industry and reaches out to surrounding towns and neighbouring LGAs. I encourage all to complete this survey. It will ultimately determine the prioritisation and importance of this project moving forward. I am assured that our delegated committees have all been notified by their new or returning council representatives. There have been a couple of meetings that have occurred that have slipped through the cracks, but we will be back on track in this space very soon. If for some reason a delegate is unable to attend, please contact one of us, particularly Councillor Black or myself, to attend. This is our connection to a very important wider network, and we have to work really hard, being a smaller council, to stay connected. There is much happening in the water, renewable energy, Ramjo space, evidenced by the hectic meetings scheduled listed below. Unfortunately, the decision was made not to expose ourselves unnecessarily to the still significant numbers of COVID cases, and we have chosen not to attend the Local Government New South Wales Special Conference at the end of February in the middle of Sydney. This again is disappointing. Holding it in a regional setting would have been far more preferable, and yet still a calculated risk. I look forward to getting together in a regular fashion at both workshops and meetings. And below are a list of meetings that I attended through January and February by myself, some of the General Manager. For any questions, please. Okay, I guess the important point I make out of that report is these delegations that were undertaken at when we first met as council are really important. If you feel that you cannot undertake that level of representation, please don't hesitate to say so. There's no judgment. It's just so that we can assure that somebody is at the table. Okay. No further questions? Somebody like to move, please. Move Councillor Black, seconded Councillor Bryce. Those in favour, please say aye. Those against, carried. Thank you. We'll move to item 1, please, the Junior Regis report.
Thank you, Councillor McRae. Just in relation to what started off everything is COVID-19 our action plan, so actions to reduce the spread of COVID amongst staff, community members and visitors. You'll see that we've taken the approach because it's forever changing the public health orders, so we're relying upon the public health orders. Also the Local Government Splinter Award, which is still in place until the 8th of April in 2022, so it is a Splinter Award is on our normal local government industrial award, and this provides for special circumstances as it relates to the COVID-19 and requirements. We're still listing in our plan what's critical and what's essential services and how we go about doing our business and things like that. In addition to this, whilst Council has got some access to rapid antigen tests, we developed a procedure, internal procedure for the use of those rapid antigen tests, just so that we can maintain our staffing levels and get people returning back to work as quick as we can within the guidelines of the New South Wales Health's exposure to COVID-19 protocols and all of those sorts of things. There wouldn't be many people who haven't been affected by delays or inability to access, delays in the PCR testing or inability to access rapid antigen tests. So whilst we have a stockpile of tests to use for our council employees. I think at one point we were about 30% of our staff were affected at one time in relation to COVID protocols. Not saying that everybody had the virus themselves, but just the protocols that surrounded it was being set up by the government. Has put that sort of impact on. Also presented is a mandatory vaccination policy for COVID-19. We keep on hearing that the best way forward to get it to the other side of this pandemic and to try and get on top of the viruses and to eliminate the reoccurrences of extra new strains of the viruses that come out and everything else like that is to be vaccinated. So a policy of council to have a mandatory vaccination for all elected representatives or employees, new recruits, contractors, consultants, volunteers and work experience is tabled for consideration. In the definition of fully vaccinated, there'll be one change to what you've got presented there, and that will be in relation to the definition of fully vaccinated from requiring the initial double dose, and there'll be a extra word surrounding the booster vaccinations. I've just got to research other definitions out there in relation to that. So virtually along the lines, if it's going to be, if it's considered as a necessity to get on top of it from the government that the booster vaccinations are essential, then that's what the definition will be. If it's only sort of recommended at this point in time, then the fully vaccinated definition will just cover that it only needs to be the double doses rather than the booster at the end of the day. Also wish to present a housing strategy. It's a strategy of our own housing stock. Our own housing stock is mainly used for staff housing, but we do have others that are leased to external organisations, government departments mainly, or we use them if they're separate, if they're spare for general use. The strategy will look at a rolling program of replacing our existing homes for new homes and selling the existing homes to the wider community for them to take the offer to buy those houses. I also wish to acknowledge that we had citizenship ceremonies in Darlington Point on the 31st of January 2022. Mr. Marcelo Di Castro and his son Mark, as well as Mrs. Razuli, were inducted to the Hall of Australians on that date. Just a little wind-up of my movements. That Ranjo board meeting is this Friday in Jerilderie. I have scheduled some annual leave for the 26th to the 6th. That I'll send an email if I don't actually go on annual leave by the end of the week to the councillors. It's on may or may not happen. Then we've got our councillor induction here in Darlington Point. I'm definitely visiting my mother in April in Mackay. So that's where we're sitting at the moment for that. So my report noted that Council proposed to make the COVID-19 vaccination policy, consulting with staff on the draft, endorsing the draft policy at the March meeting of Council, and authorise the General Manager to implement the housing replacement strategy. Any questions?
Is that a question or is it one with glasses?
I'm holding my cheek.
Okay. Okay. All right. If there's no questions, I'll read the recommendation, and the recommendation will read that the contents of the General Manager's monthly report be noted, and Council A proposes making COVID-19 vaccination policy on 1, consulting with staff on the draft policy, and 2, endorsing draft policy at the March meeting of Council, And B, authorise the General Manager to implement the housing replacement strategy. I'll put the recommendation. Those in favour, please say aye.
No.
Oh, sorry, somebody like to move. Councillor Kirby, seconded Councillor Bryce. Those in favour, please say aye. Those against, carried. Thank you. Item 2, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to present Council the opportunity to review of our street safety camera CCT policy. Investigations from the former Murrumbidgee Shire Council, Murrumbidgee Shire, showed that there'd been no policies related to CCTV in our public places. This has all happened within the last couple of months, so where we've had some crime within our LGA, and by having a policy in place for CCT gives us the effectiveness to reducing and preventing crime where possible. So I just want to present to Council that we put this on exhibit for 28 days and seeking public comment.
Thank you, Tom. Are there any questions for Tom regarding this street safety camera CCTV policy? Councillor Bright.
If a business wanted to put cameras up which show council property, do they have to ask permission?
I'm not really sure. Councillor Bryce, I'm not sure at all. Again, would they do it for the entrance of their property, or would they do it for anything different?
Yeah.
They wouldn't need a policy, but they.
No.
But the whole thing is, can council? I think this is the question you're asking. Can council use it as evidence if we haven't got a policy?
We would be able to, because we have our policy.
Only once we get our policy.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. Are there any further questions of Tom? Okay. So the recommendation will be that the draft street safety cameras CCTV policy be placed on exhibition for a period of 28 days, seeking public comment as per section 160 of the Local Government Act of New South Wales 1993, public notice exhibition of draft local policy. Following the completion of the exhibition period, a further report be tabled before council. Would somebody like to move, please? There's Councillor Major, seconded Councillor Kirby. With the recommendation, those in favour, please say aye. And those against, carried. Thank you. Item number 3, please.
Councillors.
Councillors, this is presenting the component of the local government amendment to 2021, allowing for superannuation for councillors. In order to undertake that, you must enact this requirement and agree with this, and you must also provide sufficient written notification to us of your superannuation fund and etc. The recommendation is take up the superannuation contribution payments, which from the 1st of July 2022. As noted there, the contribution rate for employees will become 10.45%, so that will automatically become the same amount for you. So 10.5% of your contribution fees and fees.
So is this on top of our existing
Fees, yes.
fees, or is it part of that?
No,
It's on top.
it's in addition to your fees. It is not to be recognised as salary under that part of the Act.
Significant.
And if I was you to go around again from here.
In perspective.
We could be excited if you could have paid a reasonable remuneration, but you know, it is a small step for recognition. And,
anticipated that would be around a cost of around $15,000 additional to the council,
That's what I was thinking.
and will need to be included within the upcoming operational plan. Thanks so much.
Are there any questions of Vicky regarding this report, please? If not, I'll put the recommendation that will read that A, superannuation contribution payments be made for councillors at the contribution rate as prescribed under the Commonwealth superannuation legislation for employees of the council from July 2022, and B, councillors provide written nomination of the details of the suitable scheme or fund to which contributions are to be made. Would somebody like to move, please? Move Councillor Black, second Councillor Rice. I'll put the recommendation. Those in favour, please say aye. Those against? Carried. Thank you. Item 4, please.
Councillors, the quarterly budget review that I presented there indicates that the statement of financial performance, profit and loss from all ordinary activities would show surplus of $13.9 million after capital grants considered at $1 million. The forecast statement of cash flows indicates a decrease of cash held of $1.4 million, which is a further decrease of some $485,000 from the previous year. Those are the key items and reviewed at pages 1 to 26. Or items 1 to 26 of pages 27 to 29 of the attachment. The sewer fund indicates an increase of funds of 81,000, substantially as a result of deferring the possible or proposed Oaklands Road sewer extension. And the water fund also then shows an increase of cash of some $87,000. And that's actually a decrease of $50,000 from the last report as a result of the legislative report. Yes, I'll take any questions.
Are there any questions of Vicky? Councillor Churton.
Vicky, on page 19, I just wondered, can you explain to me how you can be 21% complete and 111% complete?
Bearing in mind that I'm using what's proposed, so there would be more expenditure in terms of.
And what we actually originally budgeted for, is that it?
That's right, yeah. The industrial development and when you look at the figures, just means that that's actually the rates and charges on industrial land. So that was more than we had anticipated. Having changed the vote. $800. That's.
Any further questions of Vicky?
Sorry, you missed the public spaces grant, $1 million. Have we received that?
Yes, we've received $1 million. We've actually received $1.3 million of that project. You'll see it's offset in the capital expenditure component. 300,000 we had actually received a further $1 million this year. So yeah, that item there is also through there the big expenses on the flood levy which is additional costs for the shown there for the resumption of land along that route. Some $50,000 increase in insurance costs than anticipated, substantially due to public liability and property increases.
Any further questions? No? Okay. Okay, well, so the recommendation will read, with the quarterly budget review report being noted and variances to the budgets as outlined in the attachment be approved. Would somebody like to move, please? Councillor Bryce, secondly Councillor Platt. I'll put the recommendation. Those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Those against? Carried. Thank you. Number 5, please.
Councillor, so I present the Smaller Community Funds report required as part of our amalgamation amounts. I'm showing there that still in one square community group that's to expend the total amount of their grant. Thinking at this stage it's probably done and dusted and we'll not be able to refer those back. I do need to check with that community. I have noted here that there were still some unexpended funds from the Murrumbidgee Hall upgrade. We had earmarked them for some furnishing to be undertaken, and perhaps that won't be necessary with the proposed new works that are anticipated as part of that public spaces program. So I'm recommending that we recognise that as savings. And whilst I said I've transferred to the Murrumbidgee Preschool Long Day Care Centre, we've actually already made that vote in the past. Yeah. So that will just decrease, I guess, the oversubscription that we have within that fund at the moment, if you follow that. Yeah. Next thing. Guess I can take any questions on the attachment that I've got there.
Are there any comments or questions? Okay, I could read it. That's always a bonus. And you know, we sometimes get very immersed in what we haven't done and what we haven't achieved. And here's a very real record of really significant investment in our communities in our lifetimes. So, yeah, it's a job well done under adverse conditions. But I think we as communities are indeed very lucky to have been the beneficiaries of some of this opportunistic money, even though the cost is significant to get the money. But if we're forward focused and believing in how it will better equip our communities into the future, we have been very lucky.
Yeah, can I ask a question in regards to Dana Point, the sports precinct? Has that been completed? Because there is an expenditure of still got $180,000 in the budget.
There are further works in addition to monies available from the planning contributions that were made. There are plans, and I think Sue, you're across the future works to be undertaken.
Some works to be done, and we'll be having another meeting with the users to make sure that those the works that are required, and so there's lighting scoreboard.
Right, scoreboard, right, okay.
So substantially the works that have been done there are those that result from the Stronger Community Funds grants over there, so the additions to the amenities block and the regulations there, so there's those additional costs.
And the second point, there's still to be expended $263,000 on the Colony Darling Point Anglican Parish upgrade to Opshop Community Hub.
So it can be
Yeah, so it's still still $250,000 worth of work to be done on that
Town hall.
under the Opshop banner. Oh, yeah.
It's still sitting there under the offshore ban because the original application, when the community funding was announced, was under that banner. And it's kept with us because it's council properties. I'll take that off, I've just been lazy, sorry.
Thank you.
So Vicky, that money is all the retake for the kitchen redevelopment, is it what you're looking at?
Well, that was the whole, yeah. Yeah, you allowed $400,000 for that, yeah. And I think Tom's got some information on.
Murrumbidgee Shine Hall.
Yes.
So we have quotations for a stainless steel kitchen going. We're waiting for this meeting to go through to ensure that we could engage that contractor to come and do that. Quotes are within that 50K mark. So what we're trying to do is replicate what we have in Arena Hall as a commercial kitchen, to have the same as the Murrumbidgee Shire Hall kitchen be a commercial kitchen. If you held an event, you could bring a chef in or a cook or whatever.
But there's other concrete work to happen on the outside. There's a few other more things to be completed on it. Yeah.
So I guess the office is it going to be retained for use for the community as a community hall, or are Anglicare going to return to there as a workshop?
I think personally, I feel that.
Sorry, okay, I would defer in this conversation to Irene. Thank you, Vicky. If there's no further questions, would somebody like, the recommendation will read that the contents of the Stronger Community Fund report be noted, and an amount of $46,345.40 savings to the Drury Civic Hall upgrade be transferred to the Drury Preschool and Long Day Care Centre project. Somebody like to move the recommendation, please. Move Councillor Kirby, secondly Councillor Tubman. Those in favour, please say aye. Those against, carried. Thank you. Item 6.
The community strategic plan. Under the integrated planning and reporting framework, the community strategic plan is the thing that starts off all of those plans. And during the first 3 months of the new council, they review the progress of the former council's community strategic plan and supported any revision. So at the moment, we're looking at community satisfaction surveys. Anne Lyons, our media communications officer, has surveys going out. We've got some posters in the council offices. So we'll be working through, and in the attachments is a communications plan, timeline of what we'll be doing. So we'll be getting all this information together, coming back, having workshops, going out to the community. So this is really just to tell you how we're going to do it and the timeline for it. So the recommendation is that we adopt the communications plan for the community strategic plan review.
Okay, are there any questions on Sue, please, regarding the communication plan?
Great idea to have that work base to go off, and so you know where you are on track.
Also in the attachments is the annual term report from the previous council. So we'll be looking at those and looking at achievements and as we go through the
Recommendation will read, if there's no further questions, that council adopts a communications plan for a community strategic plan review. So we'd like to move the recommendation, please. Move Councillor Ross, seconded Councillor Ranger. I'll put the recommendation. Those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against, no. Thank you. Thank you, Sue.
Item 7 is the lease of council land. Inquiries have been received expressing interest in leasing council land in Murrumbidgee. 2 inquiries were received for one area and another for lot 80. Following these inquiries, review of all vacant land leases was undertaken and 2 further blocks were identified. Lot 546, Calrose Avenue, Polyambry, and Lot 210, Calrose Avenue, Polyambry. So we're recommending that these be advertised for lease.
Okay, are there any questions of Sue, please, regarding this item? If not, the recommendation will read the council advertise the lease of lots 2, 3, 4 and 5 DP 858670 Murrumbidgee, lot 80 DP 1225744 in Murrumbidgee, lot 546 DP 1131332 in Polyambry, and lot 210 DP 1013704 in Polyambry. I'll put the recommendation. Oh, somebody like to move, please. Just seconded Councillor Kirby. Recommendation. Those in favour, please say aye. Thank you.
Item 8 is the Shire Hall Development Point. Since 2005, Darlington Point Shire Hall was made available for an Anglicare centre on a rent-free basis, subject to the centre paying electricity and garbage charges. Recent works carried out on the hall have meant that Anglicare have vacated the premises, and it has been suggested that once the upgrades have been completed, the hall revert back to public use. Now, following the merger in 2016, the Anglicare applied for some funding to put in a commercial kitchen or put in a new kitchen. And from council deliberations, they agreed that 400,000 be allocated to the Shire Hall, not just for that kitchen, but for other works as well. So a structural inspection was carried out and rectification works had to be done, and that's why Anglicare vacated the premises, and they're now at St Paul's Club. So council helped them to move to St Paul's Church, helped them to move and provide storage. Roofing and structural repairs and stormwater replacement have been carried out, as well as repairs and painting of the facade. Work still to be completed are refurbishment of the kitchen, internal painting, external landing and concreting of footpaths around the building. And the internal painting will be happening in the next month or so. And then the kitchen, we're still looking at the quotes. So previously the Murrumbidgee Ward councillors and Mayor had a discussion regarding the possibility of the hall being returned to use by the wider community once the repairs and upgrades were completed. We have been looking for alternative sites for Anglicare if that was to be the case, but we haven't been able to find anything suitable. So now that it's come back to the full council to see what their thoughts are on the process. And so we're asking that council determine if the Shire Hall in Darlington Point to be retained for public use or maintained as the Anglicanes.
Oh, no, right, yeah. Look, that hall used to be used a lot. And now that they've upgraded it and put it in as, if they're going to put a new kitchen in, you know, people that can't afford the club or the pub, I think that it should be, once it's completed, I think you should let it go for a trial to see how it goes and advertise that it is for lease, you know, with whatever it needs to be done. But give it a 12 to 2-year trial to see how it goes. Then, if it isn't feasible, goes back to Anglicare.
Any further comment?
No, I agree with Councillor Sachs in that regard. I think that's the best option.
Councillor Gilbert?
Yeah, I feel it should go back to public use, but whether you do it for 2 years and go back to Anglicare, I think it's going to be drawn out too long for them, so they're going to have to find another location anyway. So I think I feel leave it at
What
public.
about a survey?
I feel leave it at public use. Don't put it back to Anglicare.
Fair enough.
It would seem, in my opinion, it would seem an over-capitalisation to invest 400,000 in it and then not have it available and as a revenue stream for council. Okay. Okay.
I agree with Vantage Point councillors, but I do like the idea that we could perhaps provide some assistance to Anglicare to go for funding to do something that, because it said here that there's still stuff in the church, in the hall, that the option 3 there, I think, if we can give them some assistance to go for some grant money or something so they can build something a bit more permanent.
Yes, I guess it's part of our social responsibility to support the community and surrounding community. Council could undertake to see if there was any community funds, church funds, service group funds, whatever, to help support Anglicare to continue the service they are where they are at the moment. Councillor.
Are there any shops in the main street available, empty?
Not at the moment.
What about beside the chemist?
No.
Next door, I don't know what he's doing with that.
The volume of clothing that they've got is just enormous.
She's still in there?
Yeah, she's still.
Yeah, see, I don't know, I haven't, it's all been, there isn't at the moment, Robert.
Was it tried for the place over here that the girls before him, you know?
It's easy.
So,
One's an own
Turner Carroll's shed.
yeah.
They'll be coming on the market mid to end of year.
Oh, they sold it over.
Well, just as a suggestion, how about we amend the recommendation to read that council returns the Murrumbidgee Shire Hall to public use, and part B, council continues to support and explore opportunities for funding to support Anglicare.
Yeah, that's good, yes.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a good way around it.
All right, so if that's a recommendation, would somebody like to move that recommendation, please? Move Councillor Murphy, seconded Councillor Saxby. I'll put the recommendation. Those in favour, please say aye. Those against, carried. Item 9, please.
Item 9, request for donation for sponsorship from the Two Rivers Run Committee. Is a charity event that is held and participating in fundraising for motor neurone disease. It was to be held last year, but was put off due to COVID. So they've contacted us to ask if any funding may be available. I did say that our community grants had not been advertised. They will be advertised next week, and they'll be closing at the end of March, which did not give them a chance to apply for these funds. I've put there the council has an amount of 4,400 in section 554 council determined donations, of which $700 has been expended on school presentation sponsorships. The event was former Ian Stead, former Murrumbidgee Shire Council, was the main instigator in organising this event, and he was keen for it to run as a charity fundraiser. So the recommendation to council is that council donate $500 to the Ian Stead and Two Rivers Run charity event from the section 554 council determined donations budget, but council can consider any amount that they.
Is there, are there any further questions of Sue or okay, somebody moved Councillor Chapman, seconded Councillor Gilbert, with the recommendation that council donate $500 to the Ian Stead Two Rivers Run charity event from the section 554 council determined donations budget. I'll put the recommendation. Those in favour, please say aye. Those against, carried. Thank you. Item 10, please.
The minutes of the Audit Risk and Improvement Committee meeting, which was held on the 5th. February.
Are there any questions, please, quickly from these minutes of the ARIC meeting?
No.
Yes, there is a chairman's report attached. Are there any issues or questions to be asked there that Vicky might be able to answer?
Got one. The council's current WHS situation, does they mean that we're not up to what they think we should be, or?
Yeah, yes, Barry was saying that it doesn't appear that perhaps the Work Health and Safety Committee are getting sufficient information. That's not running their meetings in accordance with general meeting practice, so.
Is that because they don't have someone to take minutes, or?
That could be. I must admit, I don't sit on that committee, so I think it's a matter of maybe council needs to provide a taker, but it also needs somebody to chair that meeting that sets an agenda and those procedures, so just some training.
Then it can see. Yeah.
Have a WHS coordinator?
We
Does
do.
council have, would it make sense that they chair the meeting?
Well, I think the coordinator sits as
I think so. David Maxwell is
I don't know enough about that.
no, that's what Gavin did say for me. I go to the next meeting, so. And I asked who the chair was, and David's always the chair, so.
No, this is the Work Health and Safety.
I'm sorry.
Our Work Health and Safety.
Staff.
Yeah, the staff member, yeah.
So what were you saying, Vicky? Could you please repeat that? Why would the Work Health and Safety person not be the chair of this committee?
Oh, look, I'm not sure how that operates. I'm not sure what the charter is. Sorry, I'm not.
Okay.
But certainly it's something that we need to look at. And improve that. And if the first step is providing a minute taker and ensuring that a chair can set the agenda and make sure that we go through the correct procedures and have some training in the requirements. That's something that we need to.
Are there any good? Councillor Major?
Yeah, just in regards to the actual committee, the ARIC committee, has that recommendation about staggering independence been taken on board?
Advertised for members, bear in mind that John Burge, the member, does not wish to stand there anymore. I think the charter says that we will have at least two, and the current requirements for any members are that being at least two community members and one council member will certainly have a new council member to stagger on there. Essentially, the current committee's term finishes at the end of March. So that's your determination of.
So I guess what you're saying is should be advertising one for a 2-year period and one for a 3-year period of the independent, so you get some continuity. I guess is what his recommendation is. I see merit in it.
Yeah, bear in mind that there's a possible change to the requirements for audit risk improvement, which is on the cards. I guess council at the current time has staff have not made any determination that space as a result of what's possibly coming.
It was a new requirement that we had this audit risk and improvement committee. So therefore, the people were appointed for the same term, I guess, to in the staggered appointment. Who will sanction that?
Well, that's up to you as the council, I guess. At this stage, we haven't started by now because of the possible changes.
Some of the changes that are proposed by the new ARIC requirements are that to sit on the ARIC committee, you have to do all your expressions of interest through New South Wales State Government. They have a register and everybody can pull off that register and stuff like that. They have to have the qualifications that they meet to be able to get onto there, to be the chair and all those things. When that register comes out, it could be in 12 months' time, it could be 18 months' time, it could be 2 years' time for that. So all we were looking at is this next committee to appoint so loosely that they get spilt as and when the time these new requirements come in place so that we can adhere to the requirements of the new state government policies. So to appoint when we come forth with the recommendation to appoint one for 2 years and one for 3 years, it might be null and void, there might be all gone in 18 months anyway at this time. So moving forward underneath the new policy, regulations, it probably will be a thing that we can look at, but will be governed by the state government and their new requirements.
I do know that Mr Maxwell has also suggested that there be 2 independent members other than the chair, which currently is 2 independent members, one of which is the chair.
So can you tell us what the financial cost of having 2 independent members as well as the chair per meeting?
Well, perhaps it's an extra $2,000 a year, depending on what we said as the fee for the independents.
So, but underneath the new ARIC rules, there's no councillors sitting on it. It's all independent anyway. It's all appointed through there. Councillors can't sit there. And then it'll come back. The new requirements actually state how many members we have to have. There's between 3 and 5, I think, and depending on the size of the council, which category we fit into and all of those sort of things. So we're currently just sitting at our charter that we've got at the moment, which allows for 1 elected representative and a minimum, providing with a minimum of 2 external. It does give an allowance to have 1 more external if need be. I don't see the requirement at this stage to have any more than 2 independents and 1 councillor sitting on that board until the new requirements come in anyway.
Any further questions, please? Not. Someone would like to move that these minutes are recommended for noting, please. Move Councillor Bryson and Councillor Turkey. All those in favour, please say aye.
Excuse me, sorry.
Yes, sorry.
Note that the chairman summary.
And the chairman's summary to the 4th of February 2022. Councillor. Thank you. I'll put the recommendation. Those in favour, please say aye. Those against, carried. Thank you. Item 11, please. Heritage Downs report meeting minutes. Who could you speak to these, please?
Item 11 is the minutes of the Heritage Meeting held in December. Heritage was successfully obtaining a grant through the Crown Lands Improvement Fund. So there's been a bit of work happening over there. The courthouse has been re-roofed. There's been an access ramp put onto the old council chambers. There's been new lino flooring put into the old council chambers, and they're going to be painting the interior of the council chambers and the exterior of the police residence. Depending on whether we can get a variation, they do have enough money to re-roof the police residence, so they'll be looking at doing that work as well. So there has been quite a bit.
Thank you, Sue. Are there any questions of Sue, please? No, would somebody please like to move that the Heritage Darlington meeting minutes be noted? Councillor Fletcher, second Councillor Churgwin. I'll put that recommendation. Those in favour, please say aye. Those against? Carried. Item number 12.
Righty Towns, it's just a report from back in November with the AGM, and that was actually the last time Righty Towns met for a general meeting. The February meeting was postponed due to a COVID case, so March will be our first meeting for the year. So that will be a bit more up to date. Everything mostly there is out of date, but I'll take questions if there are any.
So the cash in the bank is out of date.
Cash in the bank is exactly the same. You wouldn't get past our treasurer. That's incorrect. And thank you to Vicky for auditing once again.
Okay, we might move, this is allowable, we might move for recommendation that item 12 and item 13, this one, would somebody like to move, please? Right, second is Councillor Black, that the Murrumbidgee Town Committee annual general meeting minutes and the meeting minutes for February be noted. I'll put that recommendation. Those in favour, please say aye. Those against, carried. Thank you. Item 14, please.
No worries. Just the minutes from the Highway Task Force Committee, pretty much self-explanatory on the information or the influence that this committee has in relation to the promotions for the work that happens on the North Highway from Tokemore to Gundawindi. When you see in each of the meetings, we've got both the state representatives and federal representatives giving us updates on the roads, infrastructure, and the money that's being spent. I don't know whether we've made it in the minutes, but the chair said when they first formed this, they had about $300,000 to spend on the Newell Highway, and they've spent over about $1.2 billion from the advocacy that's come through this task force in everything, and there's still a lot more to go. From the grade separation to the new rail and certain sections, to the bypass of Parks, to new bridges at Dubbo, to overtaking lanes, and you name it, they're all getting the investment on the Newell Highway, which is not surely needed and deserves a lot more. So if there's anything specific that you've seen in there that we can get information on, or if we don't have the answers to it, I'm happy to take those questions.
Question, point 2 on resolution. Ron Heffney will be doing a mobile black spot review. And so once he gets that information with us, we'll be able to push to improve that major black spot area that we've got there on the corner. So will that reinforce what work we've already done in the tower and everything else? Will that come into there?
Yeah, so we've already identified within our council footprint where the mobile phone black spots are, and we've sent that, communicated it through, so they're waiting for every council along the whole line to do that, to formulate that plan, and they'll have that as an advocacy piece at the end of the day. There was a bit of a brush off by the federal minister considering some of the other traction we've had in relation to, and previously who the federal minister was and encouraging us, when we met with them in Canberra, fully encouraging all those sort of things and what could be done in relation to that. So another thing that may affect that is that got word through, I didn't say confidential or anything else like that, but TPG and Telstra are holding hands in relation to the...
It was on the news last night.
Good.
Oh, okay.
Wow, that's good.
So they're holding hands, and I believe Vodafone or TPG owns Vodafone or something along those lines. So it's opening up their 4G and their 5G network. So that tower at Bundoora on the Newell Highway, which is not Telstra, I don't know if that's Optus or it's Vodafone. If that's Vodafone, that'll open on to the Telstra network going through on that. So it'll create, whereas a Telstra customer, you've got black spots, you won't along there because it'll pick up that tower.
Fantastic.
Save lives, yeah.
So that's just got to get approved by whatever at the end of the day. So that's where that sits. But in the other points, we're continually talking about and advocating that intersection itself of Kidman and Newell Highway as something that's attention, a lot of attention, but also the intersection of Margo and Newell as like the centre of town is attention in relation to that. And then just advocating for more overtaking lanes right along. But if you've driven the Newell recently, like the last time I come back, I went through about 4 foot of floodwaters. So they've got $200 million, which they're hopefully going to invest between West Wyalong and Forbes to raise that road through there. So to be able to drive through 2 foot of floodwaters instead of 4 foot.
What's that about 20 Ks?
Oh, there's,
that $200 million.
Yeah.
They won't do 20 Ks.
No, the 200 million is really, there's a lot of scoping and things like that because there could be work there that they can do that they don't need to do to the highway to get the water away because it sits there for weeks on end. Why is it sitting there? What's its impediment? So there might be something else that they can attack rather than lifting that whole road between the and falls up 3 metres or whatever to get through. And there's like 6 places that I know I swam through on the way back last time that comes out. So, yeah. Any further questions?
Where's the closest, if you know, the closest truck stop rest area closest to Jerilderie? Is there one just outside of Jerilderie, or is that something?
There's one at Jerilderie.
There's one at Jerilderie, isn't there? So we don't really have to advocate hard for that because we've already got it.
Within our community on the Newell Highway, Jerilderie is quite good.
Okay, good.
Because we only go up to just past Bundoora, don't we?
Yeah.
So within our LGA, that's quite good.
Right.
It's the Kidman Way, that's terrible.
Kidman's, yeah.
Okay, the Kidman Way is
So there'll be three stops between Jerilderie and our boundary.
That's good.
And then, of course, with the new Caltex service station being built and things like that, there'll be extra spaces there in Jerilderie itself.
Excellent.
General Manager did point out to the bureaucracy that a large percentage of the money is invested north of West Wyalong.
I did notice that.
Yeah. Which they went very quiet about.
Well, the state government representative made a silly thing. So down the south end of the Newell Highway, West Wyalong, we're doing this.
Yeah.
And so I had to point out, I said, there's another 300 Ks of the road. It's like saying there's nothing north of Coonabarabran. Yeah. I'm pretty sure you'll learn a few people. So.
It is a very worthwhile committee to be looked into, and it is chaired and driven by Ken Keith, who's the Mayor of Parkes, who also happens to be the chair of the Country Mayors, New South Wales Country Mayors Association. So he does have the ability to get the people to the table sometimes, and it's a bit like every other bureaucracy in New South Wales. Every time we come to the table, the heads have changed, sitting in the chairs. So it is frustrating in that regard, but he does have the ear of people, and it makes this committee very well connected. Okay. Would somebody like to move that the Hill Highway Task Force Committee meeting minutes Be noted, moved Councillor Black, seconded Councillor Sherwood. Those in favour, please say aye. Those against, carried. Thank you. Item 15, please.
I'll speak to these. First, like you see there, was when we were going to go ahead with a face-to-face Australia Day. We were going to, we had a COVID plan in place, but then the second meeting was when we had to change to, we decided to change to an online format, and we had Brett Naseby who did the filming for us, and he was excellent. And overall, it was well received.
Okay, and the second lot of minutes, the item 16.
Yeah, that's the one that we went online. Yeah.
Right, okay. All right. Would somebody like to move, please, that item 15 and 16 be noted for council's information? Moved Councillor Turton, seconded Councillor Black. With the recommendation, those in favour, please say aye. Those against, it's carried. Thank you.
Put a string on his hand.
Item 17.
Our Australia Day annual general meeting minutes and general meeting minutes held on the 10th of January, all elected as previous year, and our general meeting, throughout discussion, it was decided not to proceed with the Australia Day night, which was disappointing 2 years in a row. And all winners of awards are to be recognised publicly shortly, next month.
Okay, any questions around that, please? If not, we'll have items 17 and 18 moved together for noting regarding the Murrumbidgee Australia Day Committee Annual General Meeting and General Meeting minutes. Moved Councillor Bryce, seconded Councillor Black. Recommendation, those in favour, please say aye. Those against, carried. Thank you. Item 19, please.
Councillors, I submit the monthly cash and investment report for the month of December. Yes, we make note of the average interest rate, if you wish.
Did very well, 60.21%.
You're not giving them money yet, so yes, you're doing well.
Or lack of interest.
That's the point where we're not. The reconciliation of the cash and representation of the journal reserves and etc. Take any questions?
Thank you. 19 and 20. The recommendation will read, the council note the monthly cash and investment report containing the bank balances and schedules of investments as at the 31st of December 2021 and the 31st of January 2022 be noted. Somebody like to move the recommendation, please. Move Councillor Bryce. Seconded Councillor Black. Those in favour, please say aye. Those against, carried. Thank
It's
you.
not funny, you fellas. It's not funny.
Yes, it is.
It's not funny.
You're funny.
She picks on me.
Item 21, please. Rates and annual charges collection report.
Council just presented this collection report as at 31st of December, noting that the collection of the rates and annual charges equates to 58%. compared to 57% of the previous year.
Nothing there. No further information you need to be made aware of. Are there any questions, Vicky, please? If not, recommendation will read the contents of the rates and annual charges collection report at 31st of December 2021 be noted. Somebody like to move, please? Move Councillor Sherwood, second of Councillor Major. I'll put the recommendation. Those in favour, please say aye. Those against, carried. Thank you. Item 22, please.
Councillors, the new council implementation fund, which was the additional money provided at the merger, as at 31st of December, showing the amount of $125,142 to be expended. That is earmarked for the LEP and further works on the asset management software program.
Okay. Are there any questions of Vicky, please?
Is there a timeline for that, Vicky?
December 2019. Okay.
Yeah, that's not far
both of those projects are underway and progressing, so
Yeah.
they're completed prior to the end of the year. Yep.
Any other questions of Vicky? If not, the recommendation will read the contents of the new council implementation fund December 2021 report be noted. Somebody like to move, please? To Councillor Bryce. Councillor Sherwood. The recommendation, those in favour, please say aye. Those against, carried. Thank you. Item 23, please. Councillor, standard report on the development stations and Kelly, could you just give us a little bit of information, please, regarding the monitoring mast for the DA, the section of the environmental planning? What is that monitoring mast?
Oh, sorry. The only thing I know about the monitoring mast is that the term is called wind. They're assessing the amount of wind that they get on that particular site.
Okay, so it's up. Sorry, is it up?
I don't know.
Okay. All right. Okay, are there any Okay. Are there any further questions of Kelly's report, please? If not, thank you, Kelly. The recommendation will read the information contained in the development applications approved under delegation report, December 2021 and January 2022 be noted. Would somebody like to move, please? Move Councillor Major, second of Councillor Churchman. I'll put the recommendation. Those in favour, please say aye. Those against, carried. Thank you. Okay. Yes. So that concludes the formal part of our council meeting.